I was 18 the summer my father sold me like livestock. The wedding dress hung in my mother's sewing room, white as surrender. She stitched it in silence while I watched, her needle moving in and out of fabric that smelled like lavender and death. Nobody asked if I wanted to wear it. Nobody asked anything. They spoke over me, around me, through me. I was the transaction, not the party. His name was Charles Bridger. Twice my age, owned the biggest ranch in 3 counties, and worked his horses until they broke. Everyone said I was lucky. A girl with no prospects marrying a man of means. Papa called it provision. I called it a cage with a legal document. I tried to be good, tried to be obedient, tried to believe this was protection, not sale. But good girls become owned women, and I would rather die free than live caged. The first time I saw Bridger up close, he touched my hair like a man inspecting a horse's mane, ran his thick fingers through it, testing the length. Good breeding stock. He told my father, not to me, never to me, like I wasn't standing right there. I went to Papa that night, begged him to reconsider. He didn't even look up from his newspaper. A woman needs a husband. Sarah, that's the way of things. I tried Mama next, found her in the kitchen, hands deep in bread dough. Mama, please. She just kneaded harder, wouldn't meet my eyes. Her silence was louder than words. I even went to Pastor Williams. Surely a man of God would see the cruelty in this. He patted my hand like I was a child. Honor thy father. Sarah, obedience is a virtue. As if virtue could keep me warm when Bridger's hands found me in the dark. My brothers could leave any time. Could ride to town, to territory beyond, to anywhere wind took them. I was born with the same legs, same lungs, same hunger for horizon. Only thing different was everyone else's belief I should use them less. 3 weeks before the wedding, I overheard Bridger and Papa in the study, whiskey making them honest. Young enough to train, Bridger said, laughing. Old enough to breed. Give her a few years. She'll settle into it. Something inside me went cold and sharp. Not broken, forged. That night, I stopped sleeping. Started planning instead. The cattle drive left in 3 weeks. I had 21 days to become someone else, someone free. I studied my brothers the way other girls studied embroidery. Jacob sat with his legs spread wide, taking up space like it was owed to him. Matthew spit when he talked about work, casual and careless. Daniel walked with his shoulders back, chin up, like he owned every room he entered. I watched them all, memorizing the small ways men claimed the world. In the barn, when no one could hear, I practiced, lowered my voice from my throat, from my belly, dropped my pitch until it felt like gravel, sat with my legs apart even though it felt wrong, spit into the hay just to see if I could. Each small act of masculinity felt like stealing fire. I took their clothes piece by piece. Jacob's old trousers, he thought he'd lost them in the wash. Matthew's worn shirt, blamed on carelessness. Papa's hat from 3 summers back. Forgotten in the barn. I wrapped everything in oilcloth and hid it where no one would look. The wedding dress kept growing in Mama's room. I watched it take shape. This white prison I'd never wear. Each stitch was a countdown. Each thread another day closer to becoming property. 2 nights before the cattle drive, I made my choice final. Midnight. The house silent except for Papa's snoring. I stood in front of the small mirror in my room. Sheep shears heavy in my hand. My hair fell past my shoulders. Dark and long. Mama used to brush it when I was small. Counting strokes. The first cut felt like sacrilege, then freedom. I worked fast, chunks of hair falling around my feet like pieces of my old life. Each snip was a severance, each fallen piece a possibility. The girl in the mirror disappeared. Someone harder looked back. I wondered if Mama would cry when she found me gone, if Papa would rage or just count his loss, if Bridger would demand his money back. I wondered, then stopped wondering. Couldn't afford to care. Binding my chest hurt more than I expected. I tore strips from an old sheet, wrapped them tight around myself until I could barely breathe. The pain felt like purpose, like I was building armor from my own ribs. Jacob's trousers hung loose on my hips. Matthew's shirt swallowed my shoulders. Papa's hat hid what was left of my hair. I studied my reflection, the strangeness of my own face, the way danger and freedom taste identical. Charlie. I'd call myself Charlie. Dawn came cold and clear. I left through my window, dropped to the ground, walked away from the only home I'd known. The cattle drive staging ground was 2 miles east. 15 men already gathering, checking gear, loading supplies. My heart beat so loud I was certain they could hear it. The trail boss was a weathered man named Hackett, face like old leather, eyes that missed nothing. I walked up to him, kept my voice low. Name's Charlie. Heard you need drovers. He looked me over. Too young, too smooth-faced, too desperate. But they needed hands, and I needed gone. $5 a month. Works hard. No complaining. I nodded. Didn't trust my voice yet. Didn't trust anything except the horizon opening ahead. The trail boss said we'd reach the railhead in 60 days. 60 days between me and money in my pocket. 60 days between owned and free. First day in the saddle. I learned the difference between farm riding and trail work. 14 hours of constant movement, dust coating my throat until I tasted earth. Heat that made my chest binding feel like suffocation. But I didn't complain, didn't slow. Pain was part of the disguise. If I hurt, I was doing it right. The crew was exactly what you'd expect. Hackett ran everything with military precision. Cookie, our cook, was suspicious of everyone, especially greenhorns like me. The other drovers ranged from decent to crude, most somewhere in between. I learned fast that the trail operated on deliberate ignorance. Don't ask what a man's running from. Half these men were escaping something law, debt, heartbreak, past. One had a scar across his throat he never explained. Another wouldn't say his last name. My secret felt slightly safer among secrets. There was one who stood apart. Thomas. Quiet, competent, kept to himself. He was maybe 30, with steady hands and a face that didn't give much away. I noticed him because he didn't try to prove anything. Just did his work and let the rest settle. I proved myself through actions, not words. Herded strays without being asked. Took night watch without complaint. Learned rope work until my hands bled. Then calloused. Each small victory was a test survived. The hardest part wasn't the work. It was the constant performance. I kept my bedroll apart from the others. Relieved myself only in darkness, far from camp. Never bathed with the men when they splashed in creeks. Loud and careless. Every moment required vigilance. Every breath was calculated. I learned the weight of performance. Every morning, I woke up and put on Charlie like other women put on dresses. Except they could take dresses off at night. Charlie never slept. Charlie couldn't sleep. One wrong word, one careless moment, and Sarah would be exposed. And exposed women on trails with 15 men, I didn't let myself finish that thought. By day 10, my body started changing, hands blistering, then hardening, shoulders gaining muscle from rope work, face browning under the relentless sun. I was becoming something harder, something that might last. By day 20, The rhythm of the trail became almost normal. Dawn coffee strong enough to strip paint. Leather smell of saddle after rain. Sound of 1,000 cattle moving like slow thunder. There was beauty here I didn't expect. Sunrises hurt to look at. I looked anyway. By day 30, I thought I might actually make it. By day 40, I'd forgotten why I was running, just knew I couldn't stop. I became so good at being Charlie. I almost forgot the scared girl underneath. Almost. We moved like a single animal men. Horses, cattle flowing across the prairie. Days blurred together in the best way. Wake before dawn. Saddle up while stars still burned. Ride until your body forgot it had ever been still. Sleep so deep you didn't dream. Then wake and do it again. There was peace in the repetition. No one asked me about marriage prospects or proper behavior. No one cared if I smiled enough or spoke softly. I was judged only by my work. And my work was good enough. The land opened up around us. Rolling grasslands that stretched so far, the sky seemed bigger than it should be. Some mornings the sunrise came up so fierce and beautiful it hurt to breathe. I'd never seen anything like it. Never knew the world could be this vast. I started noticing small things about Thomas. The way he left coffee by my bedroll some mornings. Never mentioned it. How he'd wordlessly take over when I struggled with a difficult steer, making it look like his own choice. Not my failure. The way he positioned himself between me and the cruder drovers during meals. Casual enough no one noticed, but deliberate enough I did. He never made a show of kindness. Never asked for thanks. Just existed steadily. Like a tree that had always been there. I tried not to notice. Couldn't afford to notice. But I found myself watching anyway. The economical way he moved, like every gesture had been practiced down to its essentials. His quietness felt like peace rather than brooding. One evening, maybe day 35, he sat down near me at the fire. Not beside me, just near. "You eaten?" His voice was low, conversational. Yeah, I kept my own voice rough. He nodded, said nothing more, just sat there while the other men talked and laughed. His silence felt different than others. Comfortable. Like he didn't need to fill space with noise. The next night, same thing. He'd find a spot near me, ask some simple question if I'd checked my horse's shoes. If I'd gotten enough water. Small things. Never prying. Never pushing into spaces I hadn't opened. I wondered when I'd started counting his footsteps. When had his silence become familiar? When had I begun to notice when he rode too far ahead? I caught myself, watching for him at dawn, listening for his voice at night. This was dangerous. Caring was dangerous. The other men treated me like a greenhorn or ignored me entirely. Thomas treated me like a person. Such a small thing. Why did it feel so large? Why did his morning Charlie make me wish he knew my real name? Day 40. I took night watch. 2 hours staring at stars, listening to cattle settle, trying not to think about what came after the railhead. I had money coming. Could go anywhere. Be anyone. Start over in some town where no one knew Sarah or Charlie. The thought felt less like freedom and more like exile. Thomas appeared out of the darkness, quiet as smoke. Need me to take over? I'm fine. He studied me for a moment, even in starlight. I could feel his eyes. You look tired, Charlie. I was tired. Tired of the disguise, tired of the distance, tired of being half alive. But I just shrugged. We're all tired. He nodded slowly. Offer stands. You need rest. I'll take your watch. Then he walked away, back to his bedroll. And I stood there wondering what it meant that someone noticed my exhaustion. That someone cared. Freedom was supposed to feel lighter. Instead, it felt like carrying stones, the weight of the lie. The weight of vigilance. The weight of being seen without being known. I'd escaped one cage and built another. Smaller one inside myself. I was lonelier among 15 men than I'd ever been alone. Day 46. I was so tired I could taste it. Tired enough to make mistakes. We reached a wide, slow river at dusk. The men headed downstream in a rowdy group, splashing and loud, washing off weeks of trail dust. I waited, like always, calculated the distance, the light, the risk. When the sun touched the horizon and the men's voices faded downstream, I went the other direction, upstream where the river bent, far enough to feel safe. I told myself, 20 minutes. Just 20 minutes of being Sarah again. Unbinding my chest was agony and relief at once. The strips of cloth had worn grooves in my skin. I peeled them away slowly, each breath expanding into space I'd forgotten I owned. The evening air touched my ribs, and I almost cried from the mercy of it. The water was cold, shockingly cold. I waded in slowly, feeling it rise past my knees, my thighs, my waist. Then I dunked under completely, washing away 46 days of dust and sweat and fear. I forgot to be careful. Forgot everything except the cold water and the brief mercy of being myself. My hair short as it was floated around my face, I scrubbed my skin until it stung. Let myself exist in my own body for the first time in 46 days. Just Sarah. Just me. I stayed too long. I knew it and did it anyway, when I finally waded toward shore. The sun had nearly set. I was reaching for my clothes on the bank when I saw him. Thomas. Standing upstream, maybe 20 yards away, absolutely still. Our eyes met. Time slowed to terrible clarity. I watched recognition wash across his face. He sees. He knows. Every story I'd ever heard crashed through me at once. Women found alone. Women who trusted the wrong man. Women who thought they were safe until they weren't. My mother's warnings. Whispered and terrible. Bridger's thick fingers. Every reason I'd run in the first place. I calculated his size, the distance to my clothes, whether I could reach my knife. I was too far from camp to scream. No one would hear. No one would care. This is how it ends. This is how girls like me always end. But Thomas didn't move, didn't speak, didn't advance. Slowly, so slowly, I thought I was imagining it. He raised both hands, held them up where I could see them. Empty, harmless. Then he did something I didn't expect. He turned his back. Just turned around and stood there, facing away. His back a wall between me and the camp, giving me privacy, giving me time. I didn't understand. Men didn't do this. Men took. This one was giving. I dressed with shaking hands, fumbled with the chest binding, my fingers clumsy with adrenaline, pulled on Jacob's trousers. Matthew's shirt became Charlie again. Piece by piece. He never turned around, never spoke, just stood guard when I was dressed. Voice rough, I said, "You can turn around." He did, looked at me with those steady eyes that gave nothing away. I waited for the demand, the condition. The price? Nothing. He just nodded once, then walked back toward camp ahead of me, shoulders straight. Never looking back, like my secret weighed nothing, like my fear didn't interest him. I didn't know what to do with that. I followed him back on shaking legs, sat at my usual spot by the fire, unable to eat, watched him across the flames, trying to understand what kind of man gives power away. He just ate his stew, talked with Cookie about tomorrow's route, showed no sign anything had changed. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. Just watched him, waiting for him to tell them, to sell my secret, for a laugh or leverage. He didn't. Day 47 dragged like a wounded animal. I couldn't eat, couldn't think. Every sound made me flinch. I watched Thomas all day, trying to read his intentions. He gave nothing away, just worked like always, competent and quiet. Evening came. The men gathered around the campfire, talking about weather and cattle prices and women they'd left in various towns. I sat apart, tense as wire, hand near my knife. Then Thomas stood, casual, unhurried, walked over and sat down beside me. My whole body went rigid. He didn't look at me, just watched the fire, eating beans straight from his tin plate. His presence was solid, deliberate. Close enough I could hear him breathe. Finally. Voice low enough only I could hear. He said 3 words. Your secret's safe. That's all. 3 words, then silence. I couldn't process it. Stared at him, waiting for the condition that must be coming. The but that always followed kindness. Men didn't protect without wanting something. Minutes passed. He just ate. Calm as Sunday. Finally, I whispered, barely audible. Why? He took his time answering. Chewed thoughtfully, swallowed, set his plate down. When he spoke, his voice was steady. We're all running from something out here. Yours isn't my business. Pause. But I figure whatever you're running from is worse than a cattle drive. Nobody disguises themselves for 46 days just for adventure. I kept waiting for the hook. The angle. The price hidden in his kindness. Men didn't protect women without wanting something a favor. A debt. Leverage. I won't tell them, he said, then added, quieter. I'll keep watch. I understood. He'd protect my secret, run interference if needed, asking nothing in return. Why, I said again, because I genuinely didn't understand. He looked at me then. Really looked, because everybody deserves a chance to run from what's chasing them. And nobody deserves to be caught. Something cracked in my chest. Such simple words. Such impossible kindness. Thank you, I whispered. Couldn't manage more than that. He just nodded and went back to his beans. That night was my watch. 2 to 4 in the morning. I was so exhausted I could barely stand. Knew I wouldn't make it. Tried anyway. I woke at dawn to discover Thomas had taken my shift. Let me sleep through it. Left me undisturbed while he stood guard over cattle and my secret both. When had anyone last given me rest? 3 days past? Then 5? He kept his word. When one of the crude drovers made a comment about pretty boy Charlie, Thomas steered the conversation elsewhere. When someone questioned why I never bathed with the group, he mentioned some men prefer privacy. Small shields, offered without fanfare. I watched him carefully, waiting for the shift. The moment his kindness turned to possession. The moment protection became control. It didn't come. He just existed the way he always had, steady, quiet, asking nothing. His presence became something I relied on without meaning to. A constant in a world I'd learned to expect only change. I still didn't trust it. Not completely. But I stopped sleeping with my knife quite so close to my hand. 6 nights after the river, I lay awake planning to run. Everyone slept. Even the cattle had settled into quiet. Stars burned overhead. cold and distant. The prairie stretched endless in every direction. I could disappear. Had done it before. I'd already chosen the horse fastest mare in the string. Already calculated direction northwest toward mining towns where questions weren't asked. Already counted my money enough to start over, buy new clothes, become someone else entirely. I was good at vanishing. It's what I did. My bedroll was packed. The mare was close. I could be gone in 10 minutes, lost in darkness before anyone noticed. By the time they realized Charlie was missing, I'd be 2 counties away. Running was easy. Running kept me safe. But something held me still. I thought about Thomas's hands, raised and empty, his back turned to give me dignity. The way he'd taken my watch without being asked. The way he positioned himself between me and danger so subtly, I almost didn't notice. Small protections, offered freely. No price attached. I'd spent 18 years learning that that power means domination, that kindness always has a hook hidden in it. Papa used kindness to make me complicit in my own sale. Bridger used courtesy to make ownership seem like honor. Thomas was teaching me something different. I didn't know if I could learn it. What if I stayed and he changed? What if his protection turned to possession? What if your secret's safe became your secret costs? I'd seen men transform kind suitors, becoming cruel husbands. Gentle fathers becoming tyrants. But what if he didn't change? What if this steadiness, this quiet protection was just who he was? What if I ran from the one person who'd ever truly seen me and, chosen to guard rather than harm, I stood up, walked to where the horses were tethered, put my hand on the mare's warm neck. She huffed softly, trusting I could be gone right now, safe through distance, alone but protected by isolation, or I could stay, risk trust, risk being known, risk everything on the possibility that not all men take. Running was all I knew. Running kept me alive. But I was so tired. Tired of being afraid. Tired of building walls. Tired of the cold safety of never being known. Maybe trust was just exhaustion. Or maybe it was the bravest thing I'd ever done. I whispered, "Sorry, girl," to the mare and walked back to my bedroll. Chose to stay. First time I'd chosen to trust instead of flee. It felt like jumping off a cliff, hoping someone had built a bridge I couldn't see. Terrifying. But I jumped anyway. Day 63, the railhead, cattle delivered, drive complete. The men collected their pay from Hackett, scattered toward saloons and baths and whatever came next. Some would find another drive. Some would drink away their wages. Some would drift to wherever drifters go. I stood at the edge of town with $60 in my pocket, more money than I'd ever held. Everything I'd worked for. Freedom purchased in blood and sweat and 63 days of pretending. Now what I could buy a ticket on the train, go somewhere far California, maybe, or north to Montana. Start fresh, where no one knew Charlie or Sarah. The old pattern beckoned, safe and familiar and lonely. Thomas found me there, standing at the edge of everything. He didn't say anything at first, just stood beside me, looking at the same horizon. The silence stretched between us, full of questions neither of us asked. Finally, I broke. I don't know how to stop being Charlie. The words came out rough, honest. Don't know who I am without running. He considered this. Took his time. The way he did with everything. You could keep running, he said, or you could try standing still. I don't know how. Neither did I. He turned to face me then. I've been running too. different reasons. Maybe, but running all the same. I looked at him. Really looked. Saw the weight he carried in the set of his shoulders, the old grief in his eyes. I'm buying a ranch, he said. Uncle died. Left me his place. Small operation. Needs work. Pause. Could use a partner. Someone who knows cattle. Someone who doesn't quit when things get hard. Another pause. Deliberate. Someone I trust. My heart did something complicated in my chest. You don't even know my real name, I said, testing, waiting for the judgment. Then tell me, or don't. He met my eyes. I know enough. I could say no, could thank him kindly, and ride away. I'd survived alone before, could do it again. But alone was starting to feel less like freedom and more like punishment. What kind of partner, I made myself ask? Equal share, equal work, equal say. His voice was steady as stone. Not offering charity, offering partnership. Not marriage, had to clarify, had to know. Not unless you want it. When you want it? If you want it? He held my gaze. Partners first. Everything else is your choice. Your timeline, your terms. Partnership. The word tasted strange. I'd only known transactions, daughter for dowry, work for wages, disguise for safety. He was offering something different. Something I didn't have a name for yet. Something that felt like hope. I need to know it's mine, I said. Not yours that you're letting me borrow. Not something you can take back when you get tired of me. Half of everything. Your name on the deed. Your say in every decision, then quieter. I'm not your father. Sarah, not Bridger. Not any man who tried to own you. I'm just someone who'd like to build something with someone who understands hard work and harder choices. He'd said my name. I hadn't told him my name. How did you? You said it. He smiled. Just barely. At the river. When you thought I couldn't hear, you said Sarah. You fool, under your breath. He'd known for 16 days and never used it. Never weaponized it. Just carried it quiet until I was ready. I could walk away. Could protect myself through distance. Keep my walls high and my heart safe. Or I could try, could stay, could see what happens when you stop running. My name is Sarah. I said it clearly. Claiming it, the name felt foreign and precious both. Sarah. Sarah. He repeated it like he was memorizing it. Good to finally meet you proper. Partners, I said. Not a question. A decision. Partners. He offered his hand. I took it. His palm was calloused. Warm. Steady. We shook on it like men making a deal. Equals agreeing to terms. But when I tried to pull away, he held on just a moment longer. Looked at me with something soft in his eyes. More, if you want, he said quietly. When you're ready. But partners first. Always partners first. I nodded. Couldn't speak past the thing growing in my throat. We rode toward the ranch, our ranch, as the sun set behind us. I kept my name, my voice, my choice. He rode beside me. Not ahead. That felt like everything. I was 18 when I ran. 19 when I stopped. The difference wasn't time. It was choosing to stand still with someone who'd earned it. 3 years later. I still wake sometimes expecting to run. Takes a moment to remember I chose to stay. Chose this bed, this room, This life chose him. The ranch is modest, but ours. 80 acres of grassland. A small house Thomas and I rebuilt together. Cattle that know the sound of our voices. Hard work, slim profits, but built on choice. Every board I hammered, every fence I mended, every decision I made mine. I wear dresses when I want, trousers when I don't. My hair's grown long again, though I keep it practical. Braided for work. I'm neither the girl Papa tried to sell, nor Charlie from the trail. I'm myself. Finally, Sarah. Just Sarah. Thomas kept every promise. Equal work, we split everything down the middle, from branding to bookkeeping. Equal say we make decisions together, argue when we disagree, find compromise. Equal share my name's on the deed, same as his. Some days we work in comfortable silence, moving around each other like we've been doing this for decades. Some nights we talk until the stars fade, sharing pieces of ourselves we'd kept hidden. He told me about the wife he lost to fever, the baby who didn't survive birth. I told him about the rancher's hands, the wedding dress, the sheep shears. Romance grew slowly, carefully, from respect rather than desperation. He courted my trust before my heart. By the time he had both, I'd already decided to give them. We married the second spring. Small ceremony, just us and the pastor. I wore a dress I chose myself blue. Practical. Nothing like the white prison Mama sewed. Thomas wore his good shirt and looked at me like I was horizon and home both. That night, when he touched me, it was my choice, my timing, my terms. The difference between that and what Bridger wanted, everything, the whole world. The neighboring ranchers learned about Charlie eventually. Small towns keep no secrets. Some whispered, some judged, said I'd tricked Thomas, or worse things I won't repeat. But when that first hard winter hit and our cattle started dying, Thomas made it clear, insult his wife. You deal with him. Slowly. Grudgingly. They learned to accept us. Not through hiding, but through competence and dignity. We earned our place. Last week, a girl showed up at our door. Maybe 17. Bruised eye going yellow. Clothes torn. Eyes like a hunted animal. She didn't say where she'd come from. Didn't have to. I recognized that look from the inside. Thomas and I exchanged a glance. Didn't need words to agree. You hungry? I asked her. She nodded. Started crying. We fed her, gave her a bed, didn't ask questions. The next morning, Thomas offered her work stable mucking, chicken feeding, simple tasks for fair wages. No obligations, no questions, just safety and space to breathe. She's been here 3 months now. Still skittish, but less. Still won't say her real name. Calls herself Lou. Fine by me. I understand the need to become someone new before you can be yourself. Yesterday I found her in the barn, looking at herself in the small mirror. She'd cut her hair short, ragged. Her hands were shaking. I didn't say anything. Just stood beside her. They're gonna come looking, she whispered. My brothers. They'll take me back. Not if you don't want to go. They're bigger than me. Stronger. Strength isn't just muscle. I met her eyes in the mirror. You made it here. That took strength. They'll never have. She looked at me then. Really looked. You ran too. Didn't you? I did. I smiled. Then I stopped running. Found something worth standing still for. Does it get better? I thought about the girl with sheep shears, terrified and alone. I thought about 63 days as Charlie, about Thomas's hands raised and empty, about choosing trust over safety. It gets better, I told her. More than better. It gets yours. She's learning what I learned. That being seen doesn't mean being destroyed. That vulnerability and strength aren't opposites. That the right person doesn't cage you. They give you room to fly, then choose to fly beside you. Sometimes I think about the wedding dress Mama sewed. If it's still hanging somewhere, ghost of a life I never lived. If Bridger found another girl young enough to break, if Papa felt shame when I vanished, or just inconvenience. I hope Mama understood. I hope she was proud. I'll never know. That's the price of freedom. Some questions stay unanswered. But I got my answer to the only question that mattered. Could I build a life worth living? Yes. The answer is yes. The life I built wasn't the one anyone planned for me. It's better. It's mine. Every morning, I wake beside a man who never tried to own me. On land, we work together. In a home, we chose. That's not just freedom. That's victory. And when scared girls show up at my door with secrets they think will destroy them, I get to tell them, you'll survive this. More than survive. You'll become someone you actually want to be. Lou stays, plants roots instead of running. Sometimes I catch her watching Thomas and me the way we work, shoulder to shoulder. The way we laugh over coffee. The way we exist as equals. She's learning, healing, becoming. One evening, she asks me, "How did you know that he was safe?" I think about it. The truth is complicated. I didn't. I tell her, not for certain, but he showed me. Little by little, raised his hands when I was afraid, turned his back when I needed privacy, kept my secret when he could have used it, gave me choices instead of taking them. I pause. I learned to watch what men do, not what they say. Thomas did right things when no one was watching. That's how I knew. She nods, absorbing this. You'll know too, I tell her. And when you meet someone worth trusting, your gut will tell you, listen to it. Thomas comes in then, dusty from mending fence, kisses my forehead without thinking, asks if we've eaten. Lou watches this small intimacy casual, comfortable, chosen. She's learning that love doesn't have to hurt. That home doesn't have to be a cage. That there are men in this world who protect instead of possess. The sun sets over our land, painting everything gold, our cattle low in the distance. Our house stands solid against the horizon, our life built board by board, choice by choice, day by day. I was 18 when I cut my hair with sheep shears and became Charlie. 19 when I became Sarah again. 21 when I became Thomas's wife. 22 when I became Lou's proof that escape is possible. But the truest thing I ever became was mine. My own person. My own choice. My own life. Freedom isn't running. I've learned it's standing your ground. It's choosing who stands beside you. It's building something with your own hands and knowing no one can take it because you never surrendered yourself to get it. The girl with the sheep shears would be proud of who I became. Would be proud I didn't just survive, I thrived. And every scared girl who finds her way to our door will learn the same truth. The hardest thing is the first step. But once you take it, once you choose yourself, the rest gets easier. Not easy. Never easy. But yours, finally, gloriously, impossibly yours,